and being with us here.
Yep, we're recording now. I'm going to mute everybody, Kathleen. Just
oh, okay. Thank you. I'm sorry. Okay.
All right, you can. Oh. What happened, Kathleen?
Kathleen, you're muted.
Sorry.
There we go.
We're excited to have Scott Keller here today, giving us a presentation on the Hudson Valley River Water Trail and the Empire State Water Trail. And of course, we're going to hear some updates later from some of our partner organizations on some of their projects that they're up to. And so I don't want to spend too much time here in the introductions, but Carl Beard is going to be our moderator again today. We usually meet quarterly, and he's been doing that for us the past year, which is great. Thank you, Carl. But before we begin, we do have a quick poll we're going to ask you all to participate in. It's 3 questions. It's not hard. And well, it might not be hard for you, but it might be hard for us. We're going to try to pull that poll up right now before we begin. And it's just sort of an icebreaker, and it'll just give us a sense of, who's with us today. Can everybody see that? Do I need to launch it, David? Probably, huh? Okay. So the first question, can everybody see that? Yes, okay. Do you paddle? And if so, do you own or rent? So there's a single choice. You don't paddle, you own, or you rent. It looks like we've got about 100% there. Okay, second question. How many times have you paddled in the Empire State Water Trail? That is the Hudson River. That includes the Hudson River, the Erie Canalway, and South Shore of Long Island this year. Single choice. Excuse me. None, once, 2 to 5 times, 5 times or more. That's just for this year. Okay, and third question. Have you ever done an overnight paddling trip? Yes or no? Okay, and the poll. Here are the results. Let's see, how do they show? Just let's see. I would like to borrow option. All right, I'm sorry. So the results are, I'm sorry, I was looking at the chat session. 32% don't paddle, 55% own, and 14% rent. Okay. How many times have you paddled this year? 73% none, 9% once, 9% 2 to 5 times, and 9% 5 times or more. And the last question, have you ever done any overnight paddling? Yes, 36%, no, 64%. Okay, pretty interesting. I don't feel so alone now because I haven't paddled at all this year. Okay, so let's get started. Carl?
Great, thank you, Kathleen, David. And again, add my welcome to those. Welcome to the Winnakee-Dutchess Trails Roundtable. We've been doing this program since 2015, believe it or not. And we've gotten a big boost since pandemic-related technology gave us a kick in the pants to go online. Anyway, I'm Carl Beard, previously with the National Park Service Rivers, Trails, and Conservation Assistance Program, and now I'm working with Winnakee Land Trust and other partners to do things like this roundtable. What I want to do is to walk through today's agenda, and then kind of talk through about how today's program will run. And what I'd like to do is to share my screen. You should all be able to see the screen. It's my screen says that you can see my screen. To those who are trying to do this on a phone, my apologies. But here's a quick walkthrough of the agenda. Our main presenter is Scott Keller from Hudson River Valley Greenway. We'll hand off to him in a couple of minutes. While Scott's talking, we please ask you to put your questions in the chat, and we'll store them there. And then after Scott's done, Kathleen and I will pitch the questions to Scott, and so we can gather as much learning expertise as we can from him while he's with us. So after Scott, we have a lineup of regional trail updates. These are the ones we know about, who have talked to us ahead of time. We've got some stuff from the North Side Line in Poughkeepsie, Red Hook trails, Harlem Valley Rail Trail. Is Dick Hermans on yet? We'll see. The Hyde Park trails, some updates on the Wallkill Valley Rail Trails with some stuff that's going on there in the last few months. Open Space Institute was with us. Annie Bergelin will talk to us about projects that they've got going in the valley. We'll hear a little bit about Lower Esopus Water Trail. And then we'll get some updates from Hudson River Valley Greenway, what's going on with those folks. After that roster of programs, updates we know about, we'll open the floor so that any other folks can offer any updates, brief updates you have from your trail or from stuff that's going on. And at that point, I'll remind you at the time, we'll just use the raise hand feature, so you can raise your hand and we can ask you to unmute yourself, and we can finish up the questions and ask any new ones. Anyway, so have I covered everything that we need to at this stage?
I think so.
I believe so, and it's actually good to know that how many people are not that familiar with water trails. Most of us who have sort of worked in the traditional or conventional world of trails, hiking trails, bike trails, rail trails, things like that. Water is the enemy of trails. It's what causes erosion and deposition, puddling, and so trails get wider to go around them, things like that. It's kind of a key problem. But what about when water is the trail? And the situation's kind of reversed, where the land side of things, the connection between the land and the water is a part of the problem, and it's actually part of the key to a really successful water trail. So that's what we're going to learn about some today. Water trails are not a new idea. In fact, they're probably one of the most traditional forms of trail. In the Hudson River and other rivers in our area were, major transportation corridors for indigenous people since the glaciers left. The people, the Munsee, Mohican, Lenape, who inhabited the valley where we live now. But more recent history, the history of the national water trails movement, the current history, actually started here in the Hudson Valley as well. In November 1993, my program convened what turned out to be the first meeting of an organization that was called North American Water Trails. And this is a picture that was taken then. So we brought together a whole bunch of people from all over the country. One of the key organizers was this fellow, I don't know if you can see, this is Dave Getchell from Main Island Trail Association. He came down in a 21-foot outboard from down the coast and up the Hudson River to join this meeting. Russell Cohen from Massachusetts Rivers, Mary Ann Coos from Florida, this is Kate. Oh gosh, what's her name? Um, Kate Cronin from then Main Island Trails Association. Before that, she was skipper of the sloop Clearwater, and a whole bunch of people from the Great Lakes, Puget Sound, and Craig Poole from Hudson River Water Trail, organized here. And Scott, it turns out, was chair of this organization for a number of years after this. Anyway, so that's just to set us on a little bit of footing. When we're talking about water trails, a lot of it started here in terms of organizing and dedicated learning about water trails. So on that note, I would like to turn it over to Scott. Scott, as you know, is the executive director of Hudson River Valley Greenway, and for as long as I've known him, he's been working on the Water Trail program, and has been working with my colleagues, my Park Service colleagues around the country for a great many years. So take it away, Scott.
Thanks, Carl. I was actually the vice chair of North American Water Trails. I was in charge of all vice.
My error.
But yeah, that was a group that is in large part responsible for what we have today for a water trail on the Hudson. And I worked with a number of the people who you've named or their successors at their organizations. I want to thank you guys for inviting me today, and let's see if we can get this thing to go one slide at a time. So let's start out with what is a water trail. A long distance recreational waterway between specific points made up of access, day use, and campsites, or some sort of other overnight accommodation for the boating public. Today, the Hudson River Greenway Water Trail consists of 256 miles and 118 sites, and we are a designated national water trail. Thanks in large part to Carl, who seems to have had a hand in almost all of the National Water Trail designations in New York State, if not all of them. Sometimes you'll hear a water trail called a Blueway. They're actually distinctly different entities, even though the terms are sometimes used interchangeably. America's Great Outdoors defines a Blueway as a designated community scale portion of a river, not a long distance. And it's a destination for fishing, boating, wildlife watching, and other recreation, which should get special attention for restoration and access, rather than focusing directly on the water and the immediate needs to access the water. This is a community deep program. So a water trail is viewed as romantic, non-threatening, imaginative. Think of Huck Finn's raft. And this is a raft that a couple of guys, staffers from the state legislature, took to Manhattan one year when we were out doing the Great Hudson River Paddle. So in 1994, we were approached. Our office was based in the building in that picture that Carl showed, and I lived across the river and was commuting to work in a canoe. So we had some people from the Hudson River Water Trail Association show up and say, "Hey, we have this idea. We've taken it to every other state agency. You're the last resort," and we said, yeah, we'll try a water trail, because we're not getting very far with land trail at this point. So there are two different types of water trails. A public water trail is open to the public without restriction. Sites along that trail may or may not charge a fee. Operation is usually, but not always, governmental. And the Greenway's water trail is an example of that. A private water trail is restricted to members. A membership fee is normal. They're usually managed by not-for-profits, and the Lake Champlain Paddlers Trail is one of those. And that's also part of the Empire State Water Trail. So there are different trail user types, and they have different needs. There's motorized users and non-motorized users. Every user requires launches and takeout points, or the governmental land-water interface term. And we also need fun and interesting places to visit, not just go out on the water, but go see stuff that is around. And that can be anything from a ship along the way, or a trail that you can go to and hike on, or an island or anything like that. Multi-day users also need overnight accommodations, and day users need a trail designed for short day trips. We did our planning for users and around the conditions that exist on the Hudson. We decided that we needed access points every 10 miles or less on both sides of the Hudson because not everybody's comfortable crossing. And even if they were, it puts their car a significantly long distance away when you have to go 30 miles up to the next bridge. And campsites every 15 miles or less. So there's three, the basic trail facilities. Access points are the launches and landings. They should connect the water trail with nearby roads, parking lots, or portage trails and be accessible to all users where possible. They may be small and simple for car-topped or hand-carried boats, or elaborate for boats with trailers. Separate car-top and trailered launches are best, and parking and restrooms are key. Potable water is nice. The one on the left is in New Baltimore in the picture. And that's a difficult launch. You can only launch one boat at a time. The one on the far right is Ansville Creek. Mackie is very familiar with that because her company now is the vendor there. But you can only launch two boats there in those little slots that you can see. The third one is at Coxsackie. That's next to the trailer boat launch, but it's a separate hand launch, and you can launch 40 boats there in about 2 minutes. Ideal launch, that is. Overnight accommodations can be campsites, hostels, bed and breakfast, or hotels, motels. Provisions should be made for safe and secure means of storing boats or gear, either at the landing or the sleeping place. Some of the issues that come up all the time: human waste disposal, drinking water, whether to allow campfires or not, making sure that there's sufficient maintenance to keep the site open, and nervous neighbors who, while they might love the idea of a water trail and having a launch that they can use, get really nervous if there's somebody from out of town camping anywhere near them. Places for day use: natural areas, historic sites, downtowns, any of these. Some of you may recognize the picture in the lower left is Tivoli North Bay. And no, I didn't add it just for this presentation. Day use sites are destination points along the trail where camping is generally not permitted. They may have landings or be something to paddle through or to, such as a freshwater tidal marsh or an island. They can include hiking trails, picnic or swimming areas, restaurants, and stores. Water trail kiosks. We put 12 kiosks at strategic locations with general safety and interpretive info, and one panel reserved for local info. I think this was probably not the greatest idea because they're expensive to recreate and redo. Ours are nearly 20 years old. A lot of the info on it's outdated. The website that's on there's 2 websites ago. And as it says, they are expensive to update. Kayak storage racks. This is something that one of our paddlers actually designed for us based on our concept. It's a place to lock up your gear in the cabinet down below and lock your boat to the rack itself. This particular rack, each rack, there's 2 there back to back. Each one holds 2 boats and all the gear. The only thing you couldn't put in there is if you had a full length paddle, like a Greenland paddle, it wouldn't be long enough. You need a 2-piece paddle. So what's a national water trail? They're exemplar, designated by the Secretary of Interior or the Secretary of Agriculture, recognized as part of the National Trail System, managed by a local management entity. And I believe there are currently 35 national water trails. It may be more. New York, moving on to the Empire State Water Trail. New York currently has 2,000 miles of operating water trails, 1,100 miles of which are interconnected. It's those 1,100 miles that are the Empire State Water Trail. These water trails are operated by a mixture of governmental and non-governmental entities. New York is also home to the first 2 of the first 9 national water trails designated by the Department of Interior, the Hudson River and the Bronx River, and the recently designated New York State Canalway Water Trail. New York shares 1 international and 4 interstate water trails. Crossing into Quebec, the Northern Forest Canoe Trail, which has 147 miles in New York, is 743 miles long, and it runs from the Adirondacks through Vermont and New Hampshire and Quebec and ending in Maine. The Lake Champlain Paddlers Trail, 120 miles, is a member-supported water trail from Whitehall to the Canadian border in both New York and Vermont. The Delaware River Water Trail, which is not part of the Empire State Water Trail because it's not interconnected, but it's 75 miles in New York, or 75 miles in New York, and it runs from Hancock, New York to Trenton, New Jersey, and also has Pennsylvania on the far side. And the Hudson River Greenway Water Trail is in New York and New Jersey. Other water trails in New York State include the 524 miles of the canal system, the New York City Water Trail, which is 160 square miles, including the Bronx River Water Trail, Cayuga and Canandaigua Lakes, 40 and 34 miles, which Carl had a hand in creating, the Shenango River Water Trail, 20 miles, which is a very local water trail, and in the Hudson Valley, across the river in Lloyd and Esopus, the Black Creek Water Trail. Water trails are also under development on the Susquehanna River from Cooperstown to Chesapeake Bay. A number of the rest of the Finger Lakes, the St. Lawrence River, Lake Ontario, Lake George, along coastal Long Island, trying to extend the South Shore Blueway, and here locally in the Wallkill River in Ulster County. So our National Water Trail designation led to a rebranding grant. New York State Empire State Development gave us $90,000. With that, we created a 4-map set, redid the water trail guide that we had partnered with the Hudson River Water Trail Association on for years, and an interactive website. We updated our water trail guide. So in the 7th edition, there's a new format at 7.5 by 9 inches, spiral bound to lay flat. It fits more easily into a dry bag and a kayak hatch, so you can bring it with you. And by laying flat, it doesn't tend to blow around when you're at the picnic table if you're camping overnight. We put in over 270 new and revised entries, added coverage from Lake Champlain to the Erie Canal, and then continued the existing coverage to Manhattan. We revised the latitude and longitude coordinates to conform to federal search and rescue standards, so that each site that has as you can see here by Bethlehem, I don't know if you can see my mouse moving around or not, but those are the search and the way they do a digital latitude longitude now for search and rescue. New revised and updated articles, and we dropped the restaurant guide because we've kept finding that every time we published a new edition, by the time it went out to the public, some of the restaurants were already out of business. The guide has prefatory materials, comprehensive places and features section, day and weekend trips, rivercraft, natural resources, flora and fauna, rocks and relief, tides and currents, general references and appendices and an index. And this is an example of the map that we have. The Greenway flag is shows our sites. And we developed a responsive website. Now, I apparently can admit people now. So on the left is our homepage, the Welcome to the Water Trail. The main things are the water trail map, the plan your trip feature, the water trail sites. We have a weather widget that will tell you what the weather is where you are or are going to be. And we also have a widget that we've included on one of the back pages that will tell you if the space station is going to come over while you're out, so you can watch it at night. We also included safety information. And we have some quick links off to the side on the homepage. This is the map. When you zoom in and click on a site, most of them we have a picture for. The icons show what's available, a hand launch, a car top launch, day use, restrooms, and fishing and natural resources. And all of that stuff is listed below also. The plan your trip feature, you register with your email and a password, and you can begin to plan a trip between sites or between multiple sites, a single day or a multi-day trip. And it lets you select the by start and end point, or you can add how many days you want to be. You can pick a start point and say how many days you want to be out, and it will select an endpoint for you based on the mileage that you say you're willing to paddle. So we have a map guide series also. It somewhat mimics the Water Trail guidebook, but this one's full color, and it doesn't have the depth the bathymetric information that the charts have in the guidebook, because we find that kayaks generally really don't need the depth information so much. It's a 4-map series, features interpretive and safety information. And the green border that you see here is the estimated extent of where Glacial Lake Albany would have been 15,000 years ago when the ice plug was between Breakneck and Storm King Mountains. Those are what the water levels would have been. So we have interpretive topics on all of the maps. There's the Glacial Lake Albany. There's an explanation of what that is so that you just don't have a green line and people wonder what it is. And a little blurb on what the water quality history is of the Hudson. On map 1, the Adirondack Champlain region, there's a legacy industry on each of the maps. The legacy industry for the Adirondack Champlain region is canal building. It also features Lake Tier of the Clouds, Rogers Island, and Adirondack Park. Map 2, which covers Saratoga to Albany. The legacy industry is the ice industry. It covers Revolutionary War history because you're paddling right by Saratoga National Historic Park. The Hudson River School of Painter, How's the Water, Better but Not Perfect. Map 3, Kingston to Poughkeepsie, or Kingston-Poughkeepsie area, which covers, they overlap. The legacy industry is commercial fishing and whaling, iconic boats of the Hudson, iconic wildlife of the estuary, and the Great Estates. And the last map is the legacy industry is brickmaking. It covers Storm King and Franny Reese, the Great Chain at West Point, and Forts Clinton and Montgomery, and the lighthouses of the Hudson River. The map guide series also includes some boating topics. On all maps. There's almost wear a life jacket. There's a blurb on how to paddle in the estuary in the 3 maps where you are in the estuary. And there are a list of the monitoring stations where you can get temperature and current flow, water temperature. Map 1 has a special blurb. Instead of the estuary paddling, it has a blurb on how to paddle in the canal, including how to lock through. So economic and health benefits of water trails. This is all old data. The Main Island Trail in 2011 estimated 2.1 million, all the way up to Eastern North Carolina, which in 2002 estimated an impact of almost 104 million. In New York City, over 500,000 have participated in the Downtown Boathouses free kayaking program, which began in 1995, and that's through this year. Paddler spending in the 2010 Great Hudson River Paddle was $135 per day per person, and that's not including what they spent if they decided they wanted to go to a restaurant or spend a night in a hotel instead of camping with us. Or what they spent in ice cream, which probably adds $10 a day to that total easily. There are at least 14 outfitters making a living as a result of guiding on or making retail sales to users of the Hudson River Water Trail. At least 20 other outdoor recreation-based businesses in 3 states draw customers from human-powered boaters on the water trail. And the health benefits of paddling are weight loss, stress relief, strength gain, improved confidence from learning new skills, and injury rehabilitation. So this is Carl's slide, and he did some different economic impact. Found that paddlers spend $27 to $63 a day. Significant job creation, 280 jobs, and 12 million in economic impact along the Northern Forest Canoe Trail. And we're part of a recreation and tourism strategy in Florida, Iowa, North Carolina, Ohio, Oregon, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. Water trails are an economic development tool. They're not a solution. And they certainly count as an amenity which economic development professionals can pitch to corporations as a reason to come here. Safety, or one bleep is greater than 10,000 attaboys. That's what one of my guides said when we were doing the Great Hudson River Paddle. So we stress safety in publications and on the website, which I think you've seen up to this point in this presentation. We make sure to note the natural and man-made local conditions that can be hazardous: wind and waves, lightning, heat, cold, marina and shipping traffic, and locally odd currents, including tides, again. So from 2001 to 2010, the Greenway ran the Great Hudson River Paddle as a promotional event to raise awareness about the water trail. We would go from Albany to Manhattan, 145 miles in 11 days. In 2009, we went from Fort Edward to Manhattan, which was just under 200 miles in 15 days. And Hudson River Expeditions, for a couple of years before the pandemic, under a contract with us, had done 3 and 4 day trips. And Mackie is on here. And I don't know if you're still doing that, Mackie, but if you want to put something in the chat, if you are, and point people to your website, that would be great. Some of the issues: climate change, sea level rise is already occurring. This is the kayak launch dock at the Yonkers Paddling and Rowing Club right after Sandy's tide surge came through. Same thing with the picture on the right. Note the sailboat is not where it started during that event, but the 2 kayaks on our rack, they are. So we were pleased about that. That those held up and they didn't float away. Other issues are accessibility. How do we design for and communicate accessibility when there are absolutely no standards and will not be standards for the actual launch itself? There are design standards for the parking lot and the trail down to the launch, but for the launch itself, the ADA is silent on how you make that accessible. And I've talked with people in the federal government, and some say some of these fancier launches where you put your boat on it, and you can get out of your wheelchair and get into the boat, are great. And some say they'd much rather have a beach because that thing is impossible. The other thing is impossible to use. So there's not even agreement amongst the people who are disabled themselves as to which, and paddle, as to what makes the most sense. Water quality. Modern environmental movement, as you all know, was created in the Hudson Valley. Clearwater, Riverkeeper, Scenic Hudson. Every time we have a 1/10 of an inch of rain up here, we get a combined sewer overflow notice from Albany, Rensselaer, Troy, Green Island, just all up and down the river. And I think it's the same in most stretches of the river. So that day after it rains some is not a great day to be out there. Another issue was this one, a little bit on the back burner now, but when the oil trains were coming through, the railroad is alongside the river on both shores. Albany is a major transshipment point, and not every stretch of track along the Hudson it looks to be in the best shape as you paddle down close to it. So that's it. I'm open to questions, Carl. And I sent my email in the chat, so I'm going to stop sharing my screen so I can see all of you and listen to your questions.
Great. Thank you so much, Scott. That was a torrent of information.
Well, you gave me a time limit.
That was outstanding. Some things, if you have questions, please put them in the chat. We have one comment from Sarah Olson. So you're very impressive, Scott. I think we concur.
Thank you, Sarah.
And I think this is Maki says about the next paddle. She says yes. They're planning the next one in 2023. Date to be determined, and they'll update their website this winter. And she says there are currently 2 members of their team paddling out there on the water trail. So they stayed at Hudson River Islands last night. It'll be around Kingston tonight. Great. Scott, one thing that that you mentioned was accessibility. And I should say last week, their River Management Society did a webinar just like this one on exactly that topic with some of the people that you and I both know. With a lot of this discussion, that webinar has been recorded, and I can include a link to that in a follow-up information that we'll send to all participants. By the way, if any of the participants today, and Scott, you too, if you send us links to information, we'll include those of in a follow-up email. Yeah, someone said notes. There's a great example of a HC. I guess handicapped. I guess that means accessible kayak launch in Hudson, New York, waterfront park, usable by all. That's exactly the kind of discussion, because some of us have tried to use those things, Easy Dock and a couple of other manufacturers, and find that they're not at all easy to use. And some people with fragile pack boats with the roll. These are the docks with the roller access. Some boats are not happy as they go up and down those things.
We ran into an issue with the one at Ansville Creek, which is our first attempt at something that was reasonably handicapped accessible or disabled accessible. And it turned out not to be so great, because it's originally designed for jet skis, which can ride right up on it. But the lip of the slot where your kayak is supposed to go sticks up out of the water. No matter how much you weight it, you just can't make it less than buoyant. And some people with fiberglass boats would hit that at speed and put a crack in their gel coat.
Oh, yeah, exactly the kind of point. So that's, I mean, it really, yeah, a lot of these access points are design is one-off in a lot of cases, depending on.
And the thing about a low head dock, which it would seem like the best solution, if you tip over the boat, your momentum, and you tip over to the outside, your momentum tends to take you all the way under, and when you come out of the boat, you wind up under the dock, which is a really bad place to be in terms of air availability.
And referring back a little bit, actually Dan noted about the poll. He's had a criticism that says he would like to have had a borrow option. We had own, rent, whatever, because he's smarter than the rest of us, and he borrows boats from friends.
Not a criticism; it's a storage issue.
Well, that too. But yeah, the real story is the software here only allows 3 responses, so we couldn't be too inclusive there.
So that's free rental.
Free rental. Yeah, I think it counts. Any other questions for Scott while we've got him here? Kathleen, you're muted.
Oh,
No, she isn't. I can hear her.
Oh, you can.
oh, okay.
I thought you.
The monitoring stations, Scott, what do they all look the same? Like, what are you looking at when you look at a monitor?
You're not going to visit those stations. Those are just places like the Hudson River Environmental Conditions Operating System that the Estuary Program and their private sector partners run. The USGS has monitoring stations. The USGS ones that measure current and temperature are subsurface. You can't even begin to see them.
Oh, I see. So all the information we'd get would be online.
Right. It's what I use them for mostly is in the shoulder seasons, April, May, September, October, when the water temperatures are low, and I'm trying to decide at that time of year, if you go out without a dry suit or a wetsuit, you're taking your life in your hands. So I look at those to determine, am I wearing a dry suit? Am I wearing a wetsuit? If I don't own those, am I not going out?
Good. Thank you. Again, if you have other questions, Scott has to leave this program in a few minutes, but we can, if you have questions that occur to you later, put them in the chat and we can get back to them, and we can include any answers from Scott in our follow-up email to all of you.
And I've put my email and links to both the Greenway's Water Trail website and the Empire State Water Trail website in the chat.
Great. Yeah, those will go. I already have them on our follow-up information, Scott. So good. Thanks again. Thanks again so
Yeah,
much.
thanks, Scott. That was
You're
super.
welcome. Thank you for inviting me. I very much appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Well, let me see. Moving on in the agenda, we're down into regional trail updates. And first on my list here is the North Side Line in Poughkeepsie. And Emily, would you like to take it away and give us an update on that?
Sure. And Dave, I don't know if I can share my screen. I did get a couple photos. Okay, great.
You're all set.
So for those of you who don't know, the trail formerly known as the Urban Trail in Poughkeepsie is now called the North Side Line. They haven't, I don't think, unveiled a new branding or anything yet, but it's going to be called the North Side Line. This is the trail that runs all the way from the Hudson Heritage Site in the northern town of Poughkeepsie by Quiet Cove Park down towards the waterfront in one leg, and then on the other leg towards the Dutchess Rail Trail and downtown Poughkeepsie. So it's intended to be a 24/7 trail for transportation as well as recreation. The update from our county DPW, which is managing the project, says they're working on the section from Parker Avenue to West Cedar, trying to finish that actually next month. And I'll just bring up the website here, so those of you who don't know can see the image here. Okay, hopefully you guys can see this image. Yeah.
Yes.
So this is the Hudson Heritage Site I mentioned in the town of Poughkeepsie, and this is the one leg that's going down towards the Dutchess Rail Trail, which of course connects to the walkway and our whole regional trail system. So this section from Parker to Cedar that I mentioned, this says 2022, but it's November, hopefully, of 2022. And then let me just pull up my notes. So there's been some utility delays. The overall completion of the trail, the entire trail, is intended now to be late summer of 2023, so next year. That's for, I think, this phase 1 section, the entire orange piece. And then they're working on the detailed design for phase 2, which is a little hard to see. That's the blue part. So working on detailed design, getting that out to bid sometime next year. They've been putting in light pole foundations and getting things on that first section of phase 1 ready. So I'll share a couple photos here. Let's see. Okay, so if you guys can see, these are some photos I got just the other day. Some grading work, survey, there's some large construction equipment out there. So there's still a lot to do, but they're making some progress. Sorry, I have a visiting baby in the background.
Oh.
So that's the update on the so-called North Side Line. Again, if you're not familiar with the project, the website is still DutchessCountyUrbanTrail.com, and hopefully that will be updated soon.
Right, great pictures, Emily.
Good.
I've been
Thank you.
driving by there trying to, catch a view of things that are going on. Yeah, it's exciting to see
Yeah.
the construction. Yeah.
I can also just give a quick update. We did our pedestrian and bicycle counts through our Dutchess County Transportation Council this past September. And I just ran all the numbers and kind of wrote up a summary, which I won't go through this in detail, but we did in coordination with the Walkway, who did a few counts. We did about 60 counts at 37 different locations around the county. And this information will all be on our website, which is DutchessNY.gov/DCTC for Dutchess County Transportation Council. I can put that in the chat later. But we did a bunch of counts of people walking and bicycling in 18 different municipalities around the county. And these are just volunteer counts for 2 hours at a time. So it's just a real snapshot. We are getting some additional automated counts. We haven't gotten those yet. So just to give you a kind of a taste of it, the west end of Main Street in Beacon was our highest count location. There was almost 1,100 people, pedestrians, into the 2-hour period on that section of Main Street. That was even more than the walkway, which had about, around 900. So we got a lot of counts. Arlington, 500 people at one of the intersections in Arlington. Main and Market, downtown Poughkeepsie, almost 400 pedestrians. So I have a summary which I can send out if folks are interested, but this data can be used to inform grant applications and help prioritize locations for improvements. We also collect information on gender and helmet use and sidewalk cycling. So we know that a lot of people aren't wearing helmets, especially those who are not on rail trails. And in our streets, a lot of people are feeling more comfortable riding on the sidewalks, which points to a real need for improved infrastructure. One point related to that is that in Beacon, you have about a fifth of cyclists riding on the sidewalk, and Beacon has made improvements to try and accommodate bicycling on Main Street, as opposed to some of the locations in the town and city of Poughkeepsie where about 70% of the cyclists are on the sidewalk.
Wow.
So it just shows the kind of level of comfort we have on our streets and the need for those more bicycle-friendly improvements. So anyway, I have some charts and tables. I'll put the link, like I said, in the chat so folks can look that up later.
Great, thank you, Emily. Yeah, we want to see those things. Yeah, it's important to know, who's out there and how many. And those numbers of riding on sidewalks are kind of staggering because it's not exactly legal. Anyway, so yeah, that's all good information. Moving along, next on my list is Red Hook Recreation Parks. And David, are you ready to speak to that?
Yeah, I actually am.
Do you have a graphic to share?
Yep, actually, I'm going to put the reference article in the chat. That's where we're getting the most information from. I have a little bit of a demo here. Let me see if I can share my screen. Let's see if this works. Oh, no, not that. No.
There you go.
Okay, you can see that?
We can.
Okay, so there's is that not full screen there?
Yeah, I'm seeing your notes off on the side.
I'm not sure why that happened.
Because we're seeing your screen and not your presentation.
It
still works. It still works.
Still works. Okay, so let's move along. So there's always been a desire to connect the village of Red Hook, which is in the lower right-hand corner here, with the Hudson River corridor, which includes, in this case, Tivoli Bays, which we were just talking about, Scott was just talking about, the Tivoli Village, Bard College, Montgomery Place, et cetera. This is a map that comes from Dutchess County, and that has been done. So the Village to Village Trail is a connector mostly on roads and paved paths. Brenda Cagle is on this call or on the Zoom, and maybe she can add a little bit about that at the end. But regarding this and the town of Red Hook, there's a possibility of making a more off-road solution in tandem with Winnakee. So if we look at this map, you can see the village of Red Hook in the lower right-hand corner. You can get a sidewalk access to Rec Park East, the town of Red Hook's Rec Park East here in the blue. And if you could skip over, you could connect with Winnakee's Sawkill Trail all the way to Bard College. And Bard College is a walkable campus and connects with the Empire State Trail and the rest of the Hudson River corridor that we were talking about. So that's happening. The article shows that the town of Red Hook got a $100,000 grant from the county, and they're adding another $179,000 from the reserve fund, and they're going to make a safe way of connecting between the two of their parks. Here's just a quick look. The pavilion from Rec Park East, there's going to be an asphalt path just off the road, a bit raised, along Fruit Bud Lane. And there will be a pedestrian crossing on Linden Avenue, which is a county road. This may be one of the blinking light crossings. That's the supervisor is not sure. And then a stone dust connection to the kiosk at Town Park West. And that will get you to the Winnakee Sawkill Trail, and you can continue on. In more detail, the town supervisor, Robin McKeon, did provide us this closer look at the information coming from Ty and Bond and Rhinebeck. You can see the asphalt path and the stone dust path on the west side. It is all ADA compliant, and the path might look something like this. So you can see it's going to be safer for bikers and pedestrians to get across from one rec park to the other. So there's a real good opportunity potentially to connect up in a little bit more off-road way between the two of those. So that should be, the supervisor doesn't know exactly when, but hopefully next spring we'll start seeing work. So, and Brenda, if you have anything to add to that, please do. Okay.
Hi, Dave. Now, I was, although greatly involved in the village to village, I haven't been involved in the connector part, but other than what you've just said and what I've read, I originally, I think they had hoped to have it done this fall, but I guess that's not happening.
Okay.
But anyway, we're excited to have the connection.
Great. Okay.
Great. Thank you, David. Thank you, Brenda, and thank you, Town of Red Hook. I mean, the part of what these trails are about are connecting places where people live to places where people want to go, like parks and other trails, and the statewide Empire State Trail system. So, remarkable progress. I hope that project goes well. Next on my list is Harlem Valley Rail Trail. Dick Hermans, is he on the call?
I don't see him.
Don't see him. Okay.
Fortunately.
Well, if he shows up, we can catch up with him later. Next, then is Hyde Park Trails, Rob Pollard, and following that, we'll want to catch up with the Wallkill Valley Rail Trail. So, Rob, are you on?
Yep, I'm on. I just got a couple of pictures I want to share of a project that we just completed at the end of last month.
You're
Cool.
set.
You can share your screen.
Okay. So this is a Greenway grant through Hudson Valley Greenway, and we completed our kiosks. It was our last phase of this grant. This is a multiple phase grant that had a website. Did the picture come up? No. Oh, there we go. So this is the last phase, was kiosk panels that were interpretive and a map. You see our guys installing it, and you see Carl Beard there also installing it. That's our map panel on the kiosk. They're more of a close-up of the panel. Then we have the interpretive panel.
Which features the Civilian Conservation Corps, that being one of their campsites. Back in the day.
Completed project. So we have room for a bulletin board notices, our trail maps, and our both panels. We also have the third panel on the other side, also for notices and other educational information, such as ticks and stuff like that. So that,
Invasives.
yep. So that basically completes that project that had a website, updated brochure, these kiosk panels.
And the kiosk itself.
Yeah, and the kiosk itself, which looks pretty sturdy, as you can see.
Yeah. The Eagle Scout project.
So
Excellent.
with the completion of that, we just have to do the paperwork, and once the paperwork is done, we'll apply for a new one, a new grant. So that, and today I just also had Friends School, Oakwood Friends School group of children here cleaning our trails and our parks, the litter pickup. So we're here at Hyde Park Trails. We're moving slowly through things, but we are accomplishing things.
Great, congratulations, Rob. That grant I think started well before you did with the town of Hyde Park. Thanks to you, we got it closed out. So good, yeah, good stuff. That was done in partnership between Hyde Park Trails Committee and New York State Parks. That kiosk is on in Mills Norrie State Park. So thank you to Mills Norrie and Office of Parks. Next in the lineup is Wallkill Valley Rail Trail. We have Christy DeBoer on to talk about some recent goings on on your trail.
Yes, Carl, and Cara provided the slides to you.
Oh, not to me. No, of course not.
Oh,
Oh,
well,
yeah, I do. Yeah, Cara Gentry is actually playing hooky. She texted me today. She's out doing trail work in the field and on this beautiful day, and left you.
yes, yeah, actually, so if you can go to Annie first and then come back to me, I'll pull up the slides because she is
Okay.
not playing hooky. She's out doing her work,
Well,
doing monitoring of an easement, but she's outside having fun. And then she stuck her boss with doing her presentation, and I'm not prepared. So if you can go first, Annie, I'll be ready in a second.
Annie, hand off to you.
Sure, no problem. Oh, hi. So, happy to do so. Hello, everyone. My name is Annie Bergelin, Parks Project Manager with Open Space Institute, and I'm going to share my screen to. Oh, I'm not allowed to.
We'll fix that.
Okay.
You should be ready now.
Okay.
Also,
So just to give a really quick update on our Ulster County ARPA projects, OSI was awarded $2.1 million of ARPA funding through Ulster County, and that was to do 3 rail trail restoration projects, Wallkill Valley Rail Trail, DNH and ONW, and also has 2 separate projects along the same line. And we've started with the Wallkill Valley Rail Trail almost just exactly 1 month ago, and it's moving really quick. They're doing a wonderful job. So I was just going to share a couple of photos of that work. We've got sub-base here, and they're putting down the top course, and this it looks so good. It almost looks like it's asphalt, but this is not asphalt. This is stone dust fines, and it's being rolled down into a compacted surface. So this is between Gardner and New Paltz, and we've been really fortunate to have the highway departments from the town of Gardner and the town of New Paltz sort of contribute in-kind services to help make this trail possible. So it's really been a wonderful partnership and a great use of the Ulster County ARPA funds, and we're excited for the progress. This project will be finished by the end of this year, and we'll start on the ONW projects in the spring. They're still in design. And then just a really quick update on the other side of the river. This is in Garrison, New York. We last Friday had a ribbon cutting for our new opening of trail amenities at the Garrison Institute. This is Glencliff Loop Trail has been there, but there's a new parking area. We have new kiosk information signs and also new wayfinding signs on the trails. So it's pretty exciting. It's also a really wonderful trail because there is direct access to the Garrison train station, and you can just walk right from the train station onto the trails. So it's an exciting project, and it's open and available for people to check out. And that's my quick update from OSI.
Outstanding stuff. Outstanding stuff.
And perfect timing. That's amazing, Annie, and perfect timing because I just got the slides up. So Carl, when I
Chris-
can, yep, go.
Yeah, you should be able to share.
Excellent. Yes, I can. Thank you, everyone. And don't tell my staff member that I messed this up this bad. So let me do, sorry, you guys are covering up my thing. So this is on the Wallkill Valley Rail Trail in Rosendale, the repair work on the 500 feet of washout. For those of you that aren't aware, we had a major rain event that combined with some other situations happening in that area, forced water onto a section of the trail that never even had mud and washed out 500 feet of the Wallkill Valley Rail Trail, which is also here part of the Empire State Trail. And some areas were over 3 feet deep. So this was a massive repair. OSI very thankfully came to the rescue, and along with the Hudson Valley Greenway were able to come up with some funds to do this really important repair. The only way to get around this is to go on Binnewater Road, which is very dangerous for bicyclists and pedestrians because there's no shoulder. So the section of culvert that is shown there with the stones was not replaced. That way we can really maintain the culvert situation there better, and the stone surface is going to get a final top course later this year, but for right now it's open, it's passable, and we're really thrilled and very thankful to the Greenway and to OSI for pulling things together for that. So now the Empire State Trail doesn't have a blockage again. On Joppenberg Mountain, or there in Rosendale, we've been carrying out several trail improvement projects with volunteers and with some local bicycle groups. We put in a lot, I don't know how many feet of bog bridges in some of the swampy areas, and also worked on creating a bike skills park, especially with some items for children to learn some bike skills. We haven't built the structures yet. We do have the wood, but we did prepare the area, and some of the bicyclists have already gone out and tried their moves. I don't know how to do any of that. I'm from Florida, I ride flat, but it's been a very popular update, and along with our blazing and signage, we're seeing a lot more use on Joppenberg Mountain. The last item I had is we've launched an interpretive signage project, which includes a survey where we want to talk to folks about how they visit our properties, what they do on our properties, includes the Wallkill Valley Rail Trail, the Nyquist Harcourt Wildlife Sanctuary, and Joppenberg Mountain, and some things that maybe they would like to see or would like some more information on. We're also getting this survey out to the general public because we want to find out from people that aren't using our properties, why? Do they not know about them? Do they not feel safe? Do they not feel like they're welcome there? And get just some more feedback from everybody that's using the great outdoors as to what kinds of things could we add to have a better experience or address to make things better for people visiting our property. So I'll also post the link to this in the chat. And the one last thing that I want to share with you all, if I can make the presentation stop, is we also have this Joppenberg interactive map on our website. It's really cool. We had some SUNY New Paltz students work on this, but this shows the map of Joppenberg, the trail sections that have gone in, and you can click on these and learn more about some of the geology and history of the property. It's really cool. It's a work in progress. We're going to continue to update it, but Cara doesn't know I was going to share that as well. So yay, I did something else new. But that's all I have. If anyone has any questions, let me know, and I'll post the link for the survey on the chat, but it's also available on our website. So you go right to our homepage. It talks about any trail closure. So as Annie mentioned, the current construction work, but also you can come right here and there's the link for the survey. So we want to hear from everybody.
Great. So all that'll be available through your website.
Yes.
Okay,
Also
cool.
put it in the chat.
Okay, good. Yeah, put it in the chat and we'll set it in the follow-up information as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Cool stuff. Your before pictures did not show enough of this magnitude of the disaster there. It was a chasm, a gully, that ran for 500-600 feet. It was, and this is supposed to be the Empire State Trail.
Yeah, I will add, I've been 13 years now executive director of the Wallkill Valley Land Trust. We've had a lot of emergencies, fires, all sorts of crazy things. I've never had an emergency like this that it didn't stop. It flowed for 7 days.
Yeah.
There were crayfish and ducks on the Empire State Trail, which is not a water trail. there.
Down in the water.
Down in, yeah.
Yeah.
It was really crazy.
Yeah.
Terrifying.
Great. Thank you so much for the update. Congratulations on the partnership that I guess put together to finish that work. And we got a note actually from Bob Wills. This is an update on Harlem Valley Rail Trail. He said he had a great ride from Millerton to Hillsdale in the Harlem Valley the other day. He said, hats off to all involved, including Brad Barkley, who is on this call from Dutchess County.
Yeah, it was fun. It gets gets a little hairy up by Hillsdale regarding signage and trail. A little bit of on-road stuff there, but was able to navigate it and get back okay. It was a great ride.
Great. So moving along, next on our list is Lower Esopus Water Trail. And I think what I'm going to do is Mary McNamara and Don, are you on the call? If you can unmute, I'm sharing my screen.
Don is here. Is Mary on?
I am. Yes, Don. But please begin.
No, well, we had some success last year in clearing the waterway with we're trying to establish a passable paddle route from Tongor Park up in Olive all the way really to the falls that in Saugerties, Mary, with the name there is, and
Glengarry Falls.
Glengarry
Falls. I was going to say Glengarry, but that's a movie. So anyway, we had some great success, but this is with the storms that come through, it clogs up the waterway, and we think we're really needing to find a better solution to create a community that continues to remove wood and debris to keep it open. It's just a constant challenge, and I don't think that we have any answers to that right now.
And I would just add to what Don said, that it was the work that we did do back in 2020 at the height of everyone in lockdown was partner with 2 different land trusts and accomplish a lot of fun and positive thinking. And then it initiated a project that we've been working on. So then the other piece of the puzzle of creating a water trail is making sure that there's public access to the actual creek, to the actual water. And so I hope that this inviting us to speak today was so appreciated, and it's a way to help move forward the next phase of planning for where we have a strong access and where we need to make sure that the public has an easier time for entering and exiting the stream, as well as what we were speaking about earlier, the large wood in the stream that impacts passageways. So it's been, as Carl was laughing, it's been a long, long time working on this, but I realize in the environmental world, it's all about timing. So it seems like it's an excellent time to do this. And a stream management plan is beginning in December. So that stream management plan will also incorporate recreational opportunities. Unknown opportunities or something like that. Carl's favorite, one of your phrases.
Previously unidentified opportunities.
Right.
Yeah, but yeah, it's just what's on your screen are 2 maps side by side that Mary and Ulster County have created, and the lower Esopus goes from the Ashokan Reservoir along. I don't know if you can see my cursor along this route. It crosses the thruway, weaves around, and comes up, and then takes a hard right turn and dumps into the Hudson River at Saugerties. And there's a large dam at Saugerties. So,
or waterfall. water, yes.
Yeah,
right.
and so there's a great diversity of opportunity and challenge along the route, Glen Eyrie Falls being one of them. But yeah, this is, I think an example of one of several homegrown water trails, smaller scale than the Hudson, obviously. But and I really hear your issue with stewardship. As is the case with land trails, stewardship is really the key, the ongoing caretaking. And in your case, it's fallen wood into the waterway. So, yes, hats off to you for your work there. And we look forward to hearing more from you and from other local water trails.
And the map on the right was just put up on as a tab on the bottom right of the website that I entered into the chat. So if you want to look at it, and on the reverse of this map, it's organized watershed, sub-watershed by sub-watershed. So. Okay,
we have a couple of questions for you. One is, what is the overall mileage of your potential water trail?
The length of the Esopus Creek below the Ashokan Reservoir is 30 plus miles. It's about 1.5 miles to that's a good question, but the entire length of the creek is 32 miles.
Yeah, the navigable portion is going to be something less than that.
A little bit less, yeah. And then there's 1 mile that's a tidal area. So the creek is broken down into 3 valleys: the upper section, the headwaters, the middle flat agricultural area, and then in Saugerties, sort of like a ravine that's more like a lake because of that dam that you mentioned. So the first valley is hard to navigate. The middle valley that's adjacent to beautiful agricultural land is actually where Don and I have been working on opening up the stream. And then in Saugerties, it's an actively used site with a lovely boat launch right in the village of Saugerties and resting places along a local preserve, the Esopus Bend.
Great. And then the question is, what land trust are you working with?
So the Esopus Creek Conservancy has different sites on the Esopus, but it was Kingston Land Trust and the Round Out Esopus Land Conservancy that gave us staff time, that gave us technical resources, as well as financial donations.
Great.
And I would say some private landowners also made donations.
Great. Thank you. Cool stuff.
Thank you.
Stuff. And I haven't paddled on this since you've talked about it being a water trail, but I look forward to that. Anyway, yeah, moving along. Next on my list is Hudson River Greenway updates. Beth Campochiaro, are you? I should end my share here.
I'm here.
Okay, what have you got to tell us about what's going on at Greenway?
Well, first thing I wanted to mention was hot off the presses. Cody in our office just went and picked these up. I don't know if I can't see. I blocked my self view because I hate staring at myself. Almost got it.
Almost got it. Put your hand by it. There we go.
Champlain and Hudson Valley, cycling the Hudson and Champlain Valleys. It's a collaboration with Parks and Trails New York. They put it together with funds from the Greenway and National Heritage Area. And it's a cycling guidebook that is available for purchase now, which specific routes, things to see and do, trail and travel notes, visitor information, amenities for all the way along the Hudson Valley Greenway Trail and the Champlain Canalway Trail. And it's available for purchase on the Parks and Trails website. I am going to put that in the chat right now.
Great. From PTNY.
From PTNY.org, and then it's under publications. So that is our newest baby here at the Greenway. And we're very excited about that. And the other thing that I wanted to mention was we do have our Greenway Conservancy Trail Grant Program is available. It's open right now. The next deadline for that is November 4th. And again, I can put the website in the chat. It's hudsongreenway.ny.gov, and it's grants and funding. So we have some additional project categories. So, you know, I'm glad that we were able to talk about the Wallkill Valley Land Trust and how we were able to help them out with their washed out section, because we've added a disaster recovery and reconstruction category to our trail grants. So specifically to address events such as that. In addition to trail rehabilitation projects that, you know, cover other aspects of trails that are maybe overgrown. And then there's also trail construction, planning and design, and then education and interpretation. So like we were able to help out with the kiosks there. And we have increased funding amounts available for all of those categories. We can up to 250,000 for construction or for recovery and reconstruction, which we're considering kind of like new construction, because it's really starting from scratch, just not on an entire trail, but in a section of a trail. And the education and interpretation projects are up to $25,000. And again, all of that is within the guidelines that are on the website, the Greenway's website. You download the Conservancy Trail Grant application materials, which is the guidelines, the actual application that you fill out, and the budget section. And I will put I'm sure you guys are sending it out, but I will put my
put it in the chat
email there for anyone who wants to discuss.
Great. So when again is the due date for the current grant funding?
November
Is November
4th.
4. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And now what's the interval in between Greenway grants with the next
so
round?
they will be, they are announced at our board meetings. That's when they become official.
Okay.
The board votes on them, and the board meetings are quarterly. So we have board meeting March, June, October, and December.
Okay, so watch the Greenway website for grant opportunities. Many of the groups on this forum have benefited, have gotten their first tank of gas, so to speak, from Greenway grants. They're so important for working in communities in the Hudson Valley. So thank you, and this is good stuff.
Or sign up for our e-newsletter. That will give you the notification of all the deadlines.
Right. Yeah. If you don't get the Greenway newsletter, sign up today. You really should.
I was just about to say that I'll put the link in the chat. You just scroll to the bottom to sign up.
Okay, great. Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Dan. Again, thanks to all for of our planned regional updates. Are there other updates that people would like to make from other trails in our service area in Dutchess or the larger valley? You can raise your hand, and we'll be able to call on you to report. One note that I'll Diane, can Diane unmute herself, or can we unmute her?
Yeah.
Dan, you have to unmute yourself.
He's muted. Okay.
Diane, you're still muted.
She wasn't muted there for a second.
You're
Just
still
ask to unmute.
There you go. What?
Okay.
Nope. There you go.
Okay. Well, living in Esopus, it's so here, the Watershed and the go here, walk the river here, and here. So the most Empire State Trail totally skirts us. However, it was 2014, the Hudson River Way did us to do an Explorers program, which did on Scenic Hudson Farm. We have longest shorelines with great parks and access. And we're currently working on a local waterfront renovation plan or something it's called. Anyway, so I was on the committee, and it's only a draft right now, so I'm not sure exactly what they're doing, and I don't really have a vote on it, but I sure would like to see the different parks connected. You know, the town, the scenic Hudson, the John Burroughs, because it's magnificent views of the Hudson. And I think the plan was to connect to the Empire State Trail over the Ward Street Bridge, which supposedly will be finished by the end of next year. I can send you some charts and stuff showing stuff.
Yes, that'd be great. Diane, we lost some of your audio. You were sort of chopping in and out for the first couple minutes.
I have a very old iMac, and it is so slow that I kept getting impatient and clicking the join button. So there's like 3 of me on your system right now, and I think that's messing us up.
Well, you're boosting our attendance numbers, so thanks for that. But that computer's got to be a museum piece at this point. Anyway, but yes,
Yeah.
please do that. And if people want to learn more about this stuff, we can help them along. Great to see you on here. For those who don't know, Diane's been a longtime paddler on the Hudson River. I see her like selling kayaks like a couple times a year. I mean, she must try out every kayak that comes around. I don't know, but anyway, but yeah, but thanks so much for your updates, and yeah, put the stuff in the chat and we can catch up. Are there other folks? Oh, Ron Rosen.
Hi there. I just wanted to mention a couple of things relating to the Appalachian Trail. On November 1st and 2nd, I will be attending the Appalachian Trail Landscape Partnership meeting. It'll be held in West Virginia, and representing New York, New Jersey Trail Conference there. So we're going to be looking at possible projects, probably talking to some of the other groups here about collaborations in the future.
Outstanding. Good to hear. Are there others? Let me see, Ron. How do people learn about these kinds of things? What is there? Can you put a web reference in the chat so people can follow it?
I will, but it's mostly for the actual in-person meeting, which is what it is this time. You have to be invited, but
Yeah.
I don't know yet of any ones in our local area that are involved. But there are. I'm one of the few volunteers who will be attending, but most of it will be the actual staff of some of the landscape partnership groups that are land trusts and so on.
Great.
You can contact me. I can put my contact information if people want to get more information.
Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you. Are there others who'd like to provide a brief update? One thing that's happening is national recreation trails. You heard Scott mention that the Hudson River Greenway Water Trail is a national water trail. National water trails are a subset of the National Recreation Trail system, and these are all of the trails in the Hyde Park Trail system are, for example, national recreation trails, in addition to being Greenway designated trails. National recreation trail is an easy nomination, but they're due November 1st. I recommend that you consider NRT designation for your trail. And you don't have to do it this year, but it's never too late or too early to start with that nomination process. It's not an onerous process. One of the people, I should say, that you have to get a support letter from is Chris Morris at New York State Parks, who is our New York State Trails coordinator. He's generally been cooperative that way. He's supportive of trails. So that shouldn't be a heavy lift, except that it's a time crunch for him. But please consider it. New York should have more designated national recreation trails in the national system than we do. Some states are out competing us for some reason. I don't understand. We've got great trails. Anyway, are there other updates from anybody else on the call, on the meeting? If not, oh, I'm still sharing my screen, am I? No.
Do you want to announce our next roundtable date?
Well,
Carl?
yeah. Well, let me see. Let me put this up. These share. There we go. These are some of the links that you'll be getting in our follow-up email. They include links to the Hudson River Valley Greenway Water Trail and the Water Trail, the Empire State Water Trail. I mentioned briefly the River Management Society just recently had last week a webinar about ADA and water trail access, and we will provide the link to that webinar. And they also have planning tools for water trails that are very helpful. When I was with National Park Service, we worked on some of those publications in a website to help you do that. That's where those are parked now. American Trails is always an important resource for trails of all kinds. Recommend their resources page and their canned webinars as well. And your current hosts, the Winnakee Land Trust and Winnakee-Dutchess Trails Roundtable, those links will be here as well, including recordings of these webinars. They'll be on the Winnakee YouTube page. Now, our next meeting, our next roundtable will be Tuesday, January 8th, 1 p.m.
No, it won't. It's either Tuesday the 17th or Wednesday the 18th.
Oh, details. Have I got that wrong again?
Think so. According to my calendar. Yeah.
Whose calendar are you using? Gregorian? Julian? What the heck?
It says Tuesday the 18th on the agenda.
23?
23.
Should be the 17th, I think.
Tuesday 17th?
That's what I thought.
We'll get this right one of these times.
On the agenda, it says Tuesday the 18th, but I guess it should be the 17th.
Yeah.
Tuesday the 17th. Okay.
All in favor?
But what I wanted to say is that roundtable is going to be about invasive species, and we have with us, watching us today, is Sarah Travaglio from Office of Parks, who will be talking about invasives. Sarah, would you like to give us 10 words about what you're going to be talking about on that? I hate to put you on the spot. Actually, I love it, but yeah, could you give us 10 words about what that'll be like?
Sure, no problem. No, I prepared a slide just in case. It's
Oh,
just one slide.
let me stop my share. Go ahead. You should be able to share.
Okay, let me see if I can get this. Try again.
Okay, now you can.
All right, so let me see if I pick the right one. Can everybody see something? Okay, great. So yeah, I'll be discussing trails and invasive species and how they intersect, covering just common invasive species that you'll see along trails, particularly in Dutchess County, and then methods of prevention of spread. So what you can do to help prevent spreading invasive species, how to ID them, and then I'll probably talk a little bit about some up and coming invasive species. So maybe some things that are on the horizon or are just showing up in New York or in Dutchess County that you might want to be on the lookout for as you walk along the trail system. And I guess that's basically it. I don't know, that was somewhere around 10 words, Carl, so.
Yeah. Well, you ran them together and that worked well.
Good.
Good.
Yeah, so, and that'll be the 17th. That's good to know. I'll take a look at my calendar and make sure I've got everything down there. Good.
Yeah, that would be important.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, let's try and show up on the same day.
18th. Realize I missed it by a day, so.
Yeah.
Great. So I look forward to hopefully seeing everybody there.
Great. Thanks so much. I mean, yeah, invasive species are a huge thing and of increasing interest. So thanks to all for being with us. today. Thanks for providing so much information and so much exchange of great stuff happening in our area. Again, stay tuned. Please watch us on, follow our Facebook page. If you have ideas for future roundtable topics, please drop us a line. We'd love to hear from you. If you'd like to present on a topic that you have a particular interest in or a project, that would be great too. We've heard from so many of you. We need to hear more. So please drop us a line, and we'll be happy to join you in conversation.
Carl, do you want to put your email or in the chat for people, or do people have the information already?
Well, we'll send that in the follow-up information.
Okay.
That's probably the easiest way to do it. There's not enough time now to take it out of the chat. But but yeah, you'll get that information, or you'll get that appeal. Again, thanks for attending, and thanks for all that all of you do for trails. Let your support be known. And with that, hand it back to you, Kathleen and David.
Oh, okay. You caught me off guard there.
Well, yeah.
All right. Well,
It's
I
a
want
chance
to
to say goodbye.
Yeah, I know, right? M-I-C-K-E-Y. No, thank you all again so much for, for participating and all the work you did with your updates and your presentations. And, again, thanks for making it happen, everyone. David, thank you for your sponsoring the online presentation through your Zoom account. And
for our sponsors, Greenway, Open Space Institute, Dutchess County.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Thank you so much.
All right.